さん、こんにちは。Hello, everyone. お元気ですか？お元気ですか？ That's the equivalent of how are you, meaning are you well or are you healthy? But in Japanese, we don't ask questions like how are you doing or how's it going regularly as you do in English when you see someone you know. Oftentimes, saying どうも is enough. It's like saying hi, and it may be used with other phrases. あ、どうも、こんばんは。あ、どうも、こんばんは。あ、どうも、お久しぶりです。あ、どうも、お久しぶりです。お久しぶりです means it's been a while or long time no see. あ、どうも、ライアンさん、いらっしゃい。あ、どうも、ライアンさん、いらっしゃい。いらっしゃい means welcome to our place. Often used when people welcome a guest or customer to their house, store, or restaurant. どうも can also be used as an adverb for very or very much with the phrases ありがとう thank you or すみません I'm sorry. どうもありがとう。どうもありがとうございます。どうもすみません。どうもすみません。さて、皆さん。Well then, everyone. さて means well, now, or well then. さて、私と一緒に勉強を始めましょう。私と一緒に勉強を始めましょう。That means, let's start studying with me. 私と means with me. So, 私と一緒に means together with me. Do you remember 1 to 10? Let's say it with me. 皆さん、一緒にどうぞ。1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10. I think you're now ready to learn 11 to 99. They are all combinations of the numbers you have just said. 11 is 10 and 1. 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20. You can continue in a similar manner. 20 is 2 times 10. 30 40 50 60 70 80 90. So, 99 is 9 times 10 plus 9. 皆さん、日本語で何ですか？わかりますか？そうです。99です。 Now that you know all the two-digit numbers, you can start talking about time. By the way, 0 is often 0. But for time on a 24-hour clock, we might use 0, which came from Chinese numbers. 0. The word for time is 時間 in Japanese. 時間. When you tell the time, use the numbers 1 to 12 followed by the counter 時. 1時です。1時です. Literally, 1 hour. Very simple. 何時 means what time. The part 時 is something called the counter word in Japanese. It can be used with numbers as well as the question 何. So, you ask the time with 何時ですか? 今 is the word for now. 今何時ですか? 今何時ですか? 1時です。1時です. You can mostly use the numbers you learned, but there are a few exceptions. For time, we use the alternate number for 7, which is 7. And we say 9 instead of 9 for 9. 9. 1時 1時 2時 2時 3時 3時 4時 4時 5時 5時 6時 6時 7時 7時 7 is the alternate form for 7, which we use here instead of 7. 8時 8時 9時 9時 This one is not 9時 but 9時 10時 10時 11時 11時 12時 12時 You can attach 午前 for AM and 午後 for PM directly before the hour as in 午前1時 午前1時 午後1時 午後1時 For the 24-hour clock, the midnight hour of 12 a.m. has two choices. 0時 0時 or 24時 24時 半 may be used to express a half hour or 30 minutes. もう4時半です。もう4時半です。もう which means already and まだ which means still, yet are two useful adverbs when telling the time. まだ9時半です。まだ9時半です。もうすぐ is also frequently used for soon. もうすぐ7時です。もうすぐ7時です。Sometimes we need to express a very specific time with minutes. For expressing hours, we have been using the counter G, which means hour. It's the equivalent of a clock. Similarly, we use another counter word for minutes. The minute counter word is 分, but the pronunciation changes to 分, depending on which number precedes it. Also, the numbers 1, 8, and 10 change the forms slightly. 1分 1分 2分 2分 3分 3分 4分、4分 or 4分、4分、4分。5分、5分。6分、6分。7分、7分。8分、8分。or 8分、8分。9分、9分。10分、10分。20分、20分。45分、45分。In this lesson, you're going to learn how to describe some actions in Japanese. In general, Japanese verbs end in the u sound. For example, 食べる to eat, 飲む to drink, and 話す to speak. 食べる、食べる。見る、見る。寝る、寝る。起きる、起きる。する、する。来る、来る。A verb ending in the u sound is the basic form, and it is known as the dictionary form. When you look up a verb in a dictionary, this is the form it's listed in. The dictionary form is basic present tense. This form is also called the non-past tense because it can express the present time or the future. 食べる could mean eat or will eat, depending on context. We use this simple form in some situations with some people, but not always. You have probably heard Japanese people tend to be polite. Well, it starts with the language you use. So, how do we talk politely? We use verbs in the polite form. You have already seen that desu is a copula verb in the polite present affirmative form. With other verbs, we attach the ending mas to the verb stem. 食べる、食べる。食べます、食べます。Notice that the must form remains the same, regardless of the subject, unlike I eat and she eats in English. The types of the verbs I am showing you now have the simple formation. They are called root verbs and irregular verbs. Some textbooks may say group 2 or class 2 for root verbs, in which case irregular verbs are called group 3 or class 3. As the name suggests, root verbs end in ru. In order to form the must form or the polite present affirmative form, simply change the ending ru to mas. 見る、見る。見ます、見ます。寝る、寝る。寝ます、寝ます。起きる、起きる。起きます、起きます。 When you pronounce any u sounds in Japanese, no need to round your lips much. The sound is closer to as in foot than u as in room. And when you say mas, remember the final u is not voiced. We say it more like mas. There are only two verbs that belong to the category of the irregular verbs. They are suru and kuru. They are irregular because the root vowel in suru will change to shimasu for the more polite form and with certain other endings. Suru, suru. Shimasu, shimasu. You have heard shimasu before in onegai shimasu, onegai shimasu. Similarly, the root vowel in kuru changes to ki for the more polite form kimasu. Kuru, kuru. Kimasu, kimasu. Okay, we already know how to say nanji for what time. Now, let's try to form the question, at what time do you or will you do something? Here, we use nanji ni, which means at what time. Ni is a particle similar to an English preposition. Depending on context, ni can be understood to mean at, on, in, to. Here, ni is used with a specific time expression. Try saying this after me. 何時に起きますか? 何時に起きますか? Now, can you ask the question, what time does the bus come? A bus is バス in Japanese. バスは何時に来ますか? バスは何時に来ますか? How about the statement? The restaurant opens at 11:30. Let's try using the phrase 開店する. 開店する. It means for a shop or restaurant to open. レストランは11時半に開店します。レストランは11時半に開店します。Now, let's say the bullet train, which is called 新幹線. 新幹線 will arrive at 2:08. Use 到着する. 到着する, which literally means do arrival. 新幹線は2時8分に京都に到着します。新幹線は2時8分に京都に到着します。The time is expressed with に and the arrival location is also expressed with the particle に。京都に。Now, let's listen to a dialogue that features many of the new things we've covered. You should listen to it several times and practice saying all the lines after the characters. ライアンさん、新幹線は初めてですか？
いいえ、でも京都は初めてです。ところで何時に到着しますか
？1時12分です。
そうですか。今はまだ11時50分ですね。
もうすぐお昼ご飯の時間ですよ。もう食べますか？
はい。お腹がペコペコです。
はい、どうぞ。ライアンさんのお弁当です。
あ、どうも。それじゃあ、いただきます。
Kyoto is one of Japan's top tourist destinations, and just like Ryan and Honda-san in the dialogue, many people go there by Shinkansen or bullet train. It takes a little over 2 hours by the fastest Shinkansen from Tokyo. Kyoto was an ancient capital of Japan from the year 794 until 1868. It was also the place of residence for the many emperors during that time. You can find old temples and shrines all over Kyoto, such as Kiyomizu-dera, Kinkakuji, Fushimi Inari Taisha, and many, many more. The bamboo forest in Sagano and the fall colors in Arashiyama are also worth seeing. When you walk in the area called Gion, you may encounter a real maiko or geisha. Now, let's look at some more hiragana. This set features mostly the th sound with a couple of exceptions. Shi instead of t and tsu instead of tu. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to. This next set has the nasal sound. Na, ni, nu, ne, no. The next set has the h sound. Remember, although fu is transcribed with the letter F, fu is not pronounced with the sound hu. So, tofu is really pronounced like tohu. There are also exceptions here. Ha gets pronounced as wa if used as a particle. He, who, he gets pronounced as e if used as a particle. Ho. Ha and he get pronounced as wa and e if used as particles. That is why watashi wa must be pronounced watashi wa, not watashi ha. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to can have voiced sounds indicated with two little diacritics called tenten, or more formally, dakuten. Da, ji, zu, de, do. The voiced sounds ji and zu are now pronounced the same as ji and zu. Similarly, there are also voiced versions of ha, hi, hu, he, ho. Ba, bi, ぶ、ぶ、べ、べ、ぼ、ぼ. But with a little circle added, these can instead take on a p sound. Pa, pa, pi, pi, pu, pu, pe, pe, po, po. Make sure you actually practice writing the hiragana. The workbook for this course is a good way to review what you have learned. 今は何時ですか？皆さんは何時に寝ますか？それではまた会いましょう。That means let's meet again. This is all for this lesson. See you next time.